Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. In this video, well, Street Fighter 6, it keeps going strong, right? We have the newly released Switch 2 version, which has a whole bunch of new players. We have the new Season 3 patch. We got a bunch of new DLC characters coming. So there's just lots of people coming to Street Fighter 6. You might be a newer player, or maybe you played, when the game came out a while ago. Now you're just finding your way back to the game. Either way, in this video, basically the idea here is I'm going to give you a bunch of tips for both beginners and for players that have been gone for a while and either some things changed, or maybe here's some concept that you might have forgotten about and need a bit of a refresher. So this video, we're covering 20 tips. So there'll be timestamps in the video description, so skip to whatever makes sense for you. We'll start a bit more basic and get more advanced as the video goes. And basically, I'm just here to help you out if you're an all-new player or if you're just lapsed and coming back after a while. Either way, if these tips can help you at all, then, well, that's the point of the video. So for newer players specifically, let's start with a big one because, well, classic versus modern, that's kind of always the debate. So if you're brand new to the game, you're going to notice this out of the gate, right? Do I want classic controls or modern controls? Classic is pretty self-explanatory. It's what Street Fighter's always been. So 6 buttons, we have 3 punches, 3 kicks, lights, mediums, and heavies. And when you want to do special moves, you do them in the classical styles. So that could be like a quarter circle forward, that could be what we call a dragon punch motion. And it's basically what Street Fighter's always been. And it's still overall the most popular way to play Street Fighter, especially with more competitive players. But modern, don't get it wrong, modern is not easy mode, it's not baby mode. It is perfectly viable even at higher level play. So if classic is what Street Fighter's kind of always been since its inception, what's modern? So modern is definitely simpler. I'm not going to call it easy, like not baby mode or anything like that, but it's simpler. So now instead of 6 attack button, we have 3 attack buttons. We have light, we have medium, and we have heavy. You can tell just like blue, yellow, red, right? Okay, easy enough. It does not differentiate between punches or kicks, just light, medium, heavy. And of course, when you're doing attacks, you have standing attacks, crouching attacks. That part is unchanged. And of course, when you jump as well, light, medium, heavy. So on the ground or in the air, whatever. Now you do have the auto button. So holding auto switches the attack. So say I do stand light. Now I hold auto. That'll give me crouch light. So normally here, if I crouch and hit light, I have crouch light punch. If I hit the auto button, it'll give me this. So basically, I get some of that moveset back, right? I don't just have a much worse moveset than the classic user. Much the same here, medium. So standing medium is stand medium kick. Crouch medium is crouch medium kick. But if I hold auto, then it'll become crouch medium punch. And if I have heavy here, so heavy, standing heavy is heavy kick. Crouching heavy is crouching heavy punch. And if I auto and heavy, then it becomes stand heavy punch. So you might notice here, okay, so we are losing a little bit of a move here and there. So like for medium, I have stand medium kick, I have crouch medium kick, and with auto, I have crouch medium punch. But that means I don't have stand medium punch. And that is one of the weaknesses of modern, is every character will lose the odd move. For some characters, it matters more than others. So here we are back in classic, right? Stand medium punch is a perfectly good, it's a very solid button. Good range, it's special cancelable. But if you lose it, it's not necessarily the end of the world. And modern gives a lot of other strengths. It's one of those character-to-character deals, like Blanca specifically. Blanca in classic, he has crouch medium punch. In modern, he does not have access to crouch medium punch, which is unfortunately an actual big deal as it's one of his best moves. So that can hurt, but once again, it's character to character. For some characters, even if you lose the button, it hurts. It's worth getting for other strengths. And for some characters, the buttons they lose, it doesn't really matter, honestly. Also now, as of this newest edition of the game, jumping attacks, you now have access to all 6 attacks in the air. You have your light, your medium, and your heavy. And now when you're in the air and you hold auto, you just do the other one. So you'll always have access to all your attacks in the air now. So that's really good. So that's some of the basic stuff. Now here's the big one, right? The special button. So special button means you do one button special attacks. So I can hold a direction. It can be neutral. It can be forward, down, or back. and then I'll do an appropriate special move without having to do the motion. You can still do the motion, but you don't have to. But here, let me tell you a negative and a benefit. So when it comes to easy specials, like that stuff, it writes itself, especially for characters with uppercut style moves that are like air invulnerable. So say people jump at you, right? Generally your go-to is your uppercut style move. And in modern, because you just hit a direction and a button at most, that means it's legitimately stronger and better than classic, because you do not have to commit to the whole normal motion, and therefore it saves you time. You will do it faster, and in these situations, faster is always better. This is a distinct competitive advantage modern has over classic. Thanks to that, there is an associated weakness. Any special move and any super move, and we'll get the supers in a moment, any special move you do with the special input, so that has no motion, will take a damage nerf. So here, basic fan toss. You see here in the scaling, it starts at 80%. It does not do 100% normally. Now, thankfully, I can do my regular fan toss anyways. I can do the motion, if you care to do the motion, and hit the button anyways, and you will get the move at the regular damage. So I can do the easy motion, but if you don't struggle with the motions, you can do the motion anyways and hit the appropriate button, and you will still get the special move without any damage penalty. So you literally get best of both options. So for panic anti-airs, you have the lesser damage but faster uppercut. And if you want to take your time, you can still do it manually and get the damage buff, or rather, just not a damage penalty. So you're not losing out in any way. The one thing though, when it comes to just hitting the special button, it is always a fixed strength. So say I'm full screen, right? And toss fan toss here. Notice it goes to specific speed. So I have to get the slow one. It has to be the light version, but the auto one button special can't do the light version. It only has the fixed version. So in Maya's case, she'll only ever do the heavy fan toss, which is fine most of the time, but sometimes you want the light one. So if you want the light one, you got to manually do the light one. Other than that, it's not that big of a deal. And if you hit your special button and auto, you just get an easy EX version, versus normally in classic, you'd have to do the motion and 2 buttons, which you can still do as well. So no matter what, the old options are still available to you. So easier, faster specials, which is legitimately sometimes better in the case of certain specials, although with a damage penalty, although you can manually do the input anyways with no damage penalty. And the other one is basically one button supers. So much the same here. Now you just hit your special button and heavy, and you'll do a super move. And if you have multiple bars, then depending on the direction you are holding when this is happening is which super you'll do. And much like, say, easy uppercuts, this also grants a distinctive competitive advantage. Many super moves have some form of invincibility. And just like the quick uppercut, if you can just hit 2 buttons really fast and then immediately go into your invincible move, that's worth the damage penalty versus having to manually enter the input, right? It saves you a few frames. Those few frames could be the difference between life and death. Say you got an angry E-Honda barreling at you with those headbutts, right? If you want to do the manual super timing, it might be a little too slow. However, with easy input supers, it's just a button press. So you'll always be able to react faster. And once again, even if there's a small damage nerf, that could be the difference between getting it or not getting it. So that's a very big deal. So in the end, modern controls, it's simpler, right? 3 buttons versus 6. You have the auto button to switch things up. You will lose the odd attack with the character. So some characters might be missing, like, you know, a standing medium punch or a crouching medium kick or something like that. It depends character to character. So you lose a little bit of that, but otherwise you'll gain fast, easy specials, fast, easy supers, in a game that's heavily based on reactions, even though you'll have a small damage penalty for using the easy input, which once again, you can circumvent by just doing the manual input anyways if you so choose. Like, that can be the difference maker. So modern controls, you're gonna find people very emotional online about them, but their modern is just as valid as classic. The only thing to knock, I guess, is some characters benefit more from modern than other characters. Like, say, modern Zangief famously gets his 1 button 720 super, which is kind of a big deal. And yes, it has the damage nerf, but the fact that he can do it on demand makes it terrifying. Versus like modern Dalsum doesn't really get as much out of it, right? So character to character, make your decision based on your personal preferences, but modern is totally as viable as classic. Go which way you prefer. Now, an important note on combos and damage scaling on combos. Like, first part is the more you do combos, the more you hit someone in a combo, the less damage each successive hit does. And I think that's self-explanatory. One thing specifically in this newer version of the game is combos starting with a lot of characters crouch medium kicks scale a bit more. So that's just a specific note to the latest build of the game. And if you use drive rushes in your combo, it will scale the next hits pretty substantially. So while drive rushes are an important part of combos, keep in mind it's not the be-all, end-all of combos as well. But the thing I just really want to impress upon you is just due to the nature of combo scaling in the game and each successive hit doing less and less damage, it is very important for you to front load your damage. That means basically get as many of your heaviest buttons in on your combo as early as possible. And try to keep away from as much filler. Because even like lights themselves, if you start a combo with a light, it'll scale the combo more than normal to begin with, right? And the lighter the hits use up your scaling. So if you have to use lights, use them later in the combo. And let me just give you a real easy example here. There are going to be two combos. They're going to look very similar. And one's going to have more hits than the other, and it's actually going to do less damage. So I'm going to show you the classic Honda punish counter combo starting with the slaps, right? The buff slaps. So you can get a lot of damage here. I'll show you the basic route first. All right. So here we go, right? Very good damage starter if you can get it. And there's some more optimal routes that are a bit more tricky, but this is kind of the standard one. And you can see here, 6,734 damage. That's a lot of damage to hit someone with. Now I'm going to give you a combo that's mostly the same, has an extra hit, and now because the extra hit is there, the combo is going to do less damage. So this is going to use the new stomp buff, right? And it's a very similar combo. It's just adding that stomp instead, right? And despite the fact that it's 95% the same combo, other than I added an extra hit, it's all said and done, that extra hit kind of messed with the scaling. And now you can see here, we do almost 100 less damage. That's kind of messed up, right? So when you're doing combos, just keep in mind, more hits does not always equal more better. You want to front load the hits and maybe practice your combos a bit, like take things out of it. You know, sometimes you can add by subtraction when it comes to combo routing in this game. Now, while we're on the note of combos, actually, let's talk about a special rule for combos that only apply to super moves specifically. So super moves, just like any other move in a combo, will always scale, but they have different rules for scaling. In specifically a level 1 super, a level 2 super, and the level 3 super all scale at different rates no matter how long the combo is. You can have the longest combo in the world, it doesn't matter. They'll always do certain minimum damages. So we'll start by using the combo we used in the last section. And just keep in mind the damage scaling here. So by the end of it here, the scaling says 34%. Because, you know, we got a lot of hits in, right? But now when we end with the level 3, it's going to go back up. So we do it here, and look, the damage scaling is now back at 50. So a level 3 super, no matter what, can only ever do at minimum 50% of its base damage. This is why level 3s are so strong in the game, because even at the end of the longest combo in the world, you can always be assured you're going to get at least 50% of that damage in, and those level 3s do a lot of damage, right? Now, much the same here, level 2 supers will always do at least 40% of their total damage, and level 1s will always do at least 30% of their total damage. So for all the super moves, obviously level 3s being the most, but for all the super moves, at the end of very extended combos, you can burn that meter and be assured you're still going to get some decent damage in. Versus like at the end of a long combo, any normal or special move, they're going to be doing next to peanuts in damage. So a super is always a very valuable and viable way to end a combo. Although that said, especially for level 1s, level 2s, make sure you're going to do something with it. Don't just spend it to spend it. Save that meter for when it matters, like, for the next round or another opportunity. Don't always just end a combo with a level 1 super just to get a bit more damage, because it might not always work for you, but do it if you get the kill, basically. But yeah, just an important note, supers scale differently than everything else in the game, And basically, long story short, that means a level 3 is always gonna hurt. Now to talk about parry. So parry is a very loaded term in fighting games and means a lot of different things and is associated with a lot of very specific memories. But in Street Fighter 6, the base parry is basically just better block. That's the way you gotta think about it. It's just better block. Why is it better block? So say the opponent throws some fireballs. If I block the fireball as usual, the penalty for blocking is I'll take some of my drive gauge in damage as chip. As you see here, you block enough. Okay, well, there you go. Sort of makes sense. If I were parrying, though, instead, I'll get some of that back. So when I see fireballs coming my way, if I parry it instead of just blocking it, I'm effectively net neutral at minimum, right? So I'm not just losing. Like, I'll still block as it were, but I'm not just actively losing an important resource for it, right? So basically, anytime you could have blocked the fireball, you should have always gone for a parry. This is especially important because of the perfect parry mechanic with a very specific timing. Because the perfect parry helps reduce the block stun, as it were, right? It is a block, basically, but in a situation against a fireball, you'll recover quicker. So normally, say at this distance here, I could never block and hit him back, right? And especially, you know, same thing with parry, I can't block and hit him back. But if I perfect parry, that I can recover instantly and give the opponent a tap. So perfect parry is great for timing on that. And we'll talk about perfect parry a bit later. But another thing, once again, because parry is block, parry also deals with lows and overheads at the same time. So normally if I want to block a low, I gotta, you know, crouch block. Makes sense, right? But if I hold parry, I still parry a low. And say an overhead's coming my way, well, I can't crouch block that, so I have to stand block it. But parry also gets that. So in situations where a high or a low is coming and you do not know which is which, parry kind of takes the cake. The thing to note, don't over parry. You get a little too rambunctious. You can definitely get thrown while you're parrying, and throws get a big time damage buff if they throw someone who's parrying. So watch out for that. But basically, in a lot of situations, when you can block against something obvious, don't block, just parry, because it's basically better for you. And all the better yet if you can get the perfect parry timing. Now, to mention the perfect parry. So it's gone through some changes in this specific build of the game. So I want to mention that and also just what perfect parry is and how to get it. So first, what is a perfect parry? Well, it's just parry, but with a specific timing window. So when a move's coming, as you see here, perfect parry gives a nice time slow effect, all that, right? Basically, parry the move within 2 frames of the move connecting. That's it. So you have a 2-frame window. That's pretty strict. It's not the easiest to time, but the thing is, generally, it's not the worst either. Say you're too late, like that scenario is too late, you just block instead, right? And if you're a bit too early, well, then you still parry. So there's still some worth for going for the opportunity, but it has to be a strict 2-frame window. And to note, you do have to manually time it. Say you get knocked down, you can hold parry button when you're knocked down, you'll wake up parrying right away, right? A move can hit you within 2 frames of that wake up. It will not be a perfect parry. You have to manually time your perfect parry tap within 2 frames of the attack or you get nothing. You'll get the regular parry, but no screen stop, no nothing. Now, in this specific build of the game, Season 3, and I'm assuming going forward, they made perfect parry a bit more difficult. So the timing is still the same, but now you have to block the right direction while doing it. So you have to hold back or down back and then parry with the right timing to get the perfect parry. So say a jump attack is coming my way, that would count as an overhead. You block overheads by stand blocking, right? So if I want to perfect parry that, I have to stand block and do my perfect parry timing. So something like this. So there we go, right? Now I can crouch block, and once again, parry gets both high and low, right? So I can crouch block and parry just fine. I can even get it with the perfect timing. That was a perfectly timed parry. But because I wasn't holding the right block direction, that means I didn't get it. Much the same for lows. So for lows, I'd have to down back and do the perfect parry timing. So this change is specifically to make it more difficult to perfect parry. Because before, you just tapped it, and high, low, mid, whatever it was, as long as you had the right timing, it caught everything, right? So now you have to at least have some idea what's actually coming at you versus this is just a catch-all. Still very strong. So Down back and parry, perfect parry timing, will get lows. And hold back and parry will get mids and overheads. And some rare true highs. True highs are rare, but that's another thing. Anyways, so basically, stand block for everything except for lows, crouch block parry for lows. And otherwise, once again, you need a 2-frame timing window, and that's how perfect parry works. And for true beginners, by the way, just have your frame data meter on here. It's right here in the practice settings. And then you can see, right, which frames it hits on. So if you can do it too early, I can see, oh, I did it 3 frames early, didn't get it, right? So the game will visually tell you for your timing. So use the frame data meter, it helps a lot. Now, to speak about the drive rush, if you've ever heard of anything about Street Fighter 6, you probably heard about drive rush and people complaining about it. And maybe for good reason. It's definitely a big part of the heart of the game. So what's the big deal with drive rush? There's a few things to note about it. So the biggest thing is it changes the numbers on everything. So say here, DJ, basic medium punch, it's 5 frames advantage on hit, which is fantastic. But if I did it off a drive rush, it's now 9 frames of advantage on hit. Same on block. Okay, it's a +2 on block. Now it's +6 on block. So on hit or on block, anything done out of a drive rush, as long as it's a normal, special moves don't count. But anything done out of a drive rush just has better numbers. That means better pressure, better combos, better everything. Like, say this out of drive rush, right? This out of drive rush combos in the back heavy kick, which is a great starter for DJ, because that also goes into various strong combos for him as well. A regular one here without the drive rush would not go into it. And say you block basically anything in drive rush. If you block basically anything in drive rush, it is now the opponent's turn. Like, whoever did the drive rush, it's still their go, right? So that's why the drive rush is so effective. And of course, some characters can do the sometimes reviled crouch medium kick in the drive rush, right? So they can tap your toes and just scream on in. So basically what drive rush means is it's always better hits, better combos, better pressure on block. It's all upside for the most part. And also it takes, parts of your meter, and you can also cancel, many hits into it. And one of the dirty secrets of drive rush and why it's so effective is you can spend what you don't got. So normally, say a drive rush forward, right, takes exactly a bar. Say I don't need a full bar. There we go. I just did it. I didn't have a full bar. I had enough to just get the parry off, and that was it. So you can drive rush even without a full bar, and say drive rush canceling. That normally takes 3 bars, right? I do whatever given move, drive rush cancel takes 3 bars because it's a very powerful ability. But now, say I have less than a bar, I can still do it. As long as I have even a pixel of a bar left, I can always drive rush cancel. So that's why it's so strong, because you get the ability to get these very powerful moves without necessarily paying the full cost. You will go into burnout, but if it's putting you in a game-winning situation or just outright winning the game in and of itself, it's always worth it. So the drive rush is a big part of the game, and that's why it's so crazy. Now, to talk about anti-airs, this is Street Fighter, and people are gonna jump. They're gonna jump like their lives depend on it. Because, well, sometimes it just might. Sometimes it just might. And here's the thing. So you probably see the thing where people turn gold and knock people out of the air. Those are true invincible attacks. Not everyone has those. Generally, they're what we call uppercut style moves, like your Shoryuken and all that. But those are invincible to everything. But certain moves like that have specific keyed invincibility to air attacks, even if the move itself is not full invincible. So say DJ. So DJ is going to scream in and jump on us, right? And we'll do Chun-Li's Tensho kick, which has air invulnerability. And have a gander at this. You see how like the leg went clear through me, right? Because this move is keyed to be invincible against jump attacks. Just about, I don't think every single one, but just about every move that has a full invincible version, the regular version will have some kind of air invulnerability. And there's some characters that have limited air invulnerability. So like Marissa here, her cortical back punch, the light and medium versions, actually have very limited anti-air invulnerability. So these are not normally an invulnerable move. This is a combo starter, normally the EX version, right? But it's also usable against very bad jumps. Or let's say DJ, because we're just using him as our dummy bot, right? So DJ has a flash kick style move that's invincible against air attacks, right? And the charge version is just invincible against everything, which is great, but it's a charge move. You gotta hold down, right? You don't always have it on demand because, you know, you're gonna be moving around, right? And lots of characters, even though it doesn't have invincibility, lots of characters have moves that just go right up and are very easy to knock people out of the air with, right? So DJ is one of them. Say Guile Crouch Heavy Punch as well. These moves have no actual invincibility, but they're just good enough that as long as you can get out ahead of the enemy, you'll generally do something with it. But usually the golden rule is if a character has an uppercut style move, the enhanced version is full invincible. The regular version, even if it's not full invincible, will still be invincible to jumps. And some characters don't got any of that, and they might have various anti-air options, but they just require you to be on the ball. There's no invincibility. You just got to time it just right. So it's a very jumpy game. So just keep that in mind because some characters have more advantages in that regard than others. Now, our next tip is to help you understand the concept of meaties. So this is a grand tradition going all the way to back in the day. But when you do any attack, it doesn't matter what it is, every attack has what we call active frames. So basically, how long is the attack out there? So on our handy dandy frame reader, you can see here we have startup and our active frames and then recoveries. So the startup is the part that's in the green. The active frames is the part in the red, recoveries in the blue. So the red bit is basically how many frames, how long is this move actually just out in the wild and can connect with the enemy. And many moves are out there for longer than others. Like say Dalsum, the big, Yoga Flame, right? That's out there for a good deal longer. As a projectile, technically, and this one is orange instead of the red, right? But regardless, as you can see here, it's out here for a lot of active frames. And say we hit the enemy with it. Okay, 33 frames of advantage, that's not bad. But what if we could hit later in the move, right? Like say the base fireball. The base fireball, if we hit it point blank, it's -2. But because active frames are active frames, we hit it from full screen. Now, obviously, we're a lot more than +2 because, like, I could tap you after the fact, right? So to give you an idea of why it's good to hit meaty, why we want to hit later in the active frames. Like I could do a combo with Dalsum and combo into that Yoga Flame just fine to get the knockdown. But what if I use the Yoga Flame as the combo starter? So by itself, like nothing's possible. It can't happen. But if I can hit later in the active frames, like the move plays out the same, right? The whole animation plays out the same regardless. So if I hit later in the move, I effectively recover quicker versus the enemy. So once again here, Knockdown says I have 33 frames of advantage. But what if I do it off a forward throw? The enemy's knocked down, then I do it, and then they wake up into it. Now I'm +45. So I have more overall advantage. In fact, I have so much advantage, like it obviously knocks the enemy into the air, right? His Yoga Upblast EX version has a juggle property to it. Now, normally it would never hit because like they're already on the ground beforehand. But if I can hit later and recover that much quicker. Oh, now I just got a potentially game-winning combo off of this, right? Like that's kind of crazy. That normally would never work, right? That EX Blast would never work. And here I took off basically half their life. And then, of course, that's combo implications. What about regular implications? Like that same move on block, -4. Like if I do it too close, I can literally get blown up. A basic jab is 4 frames. I will get comboed. That's not good. But once again, if I hit later in those active frames, because they wake up into it, oh, now I'm at 6 frames advantage. So now before I would have got comboed on block. Now, if they block it, it's my turn. Anything I do is going to happen first. That's why it's so important to hit on the meaty frames. Anything that's not like the first frame effectively is a meaty frame. This is a more extreme example. Let me give you something a bit more basic. So say we're just switching up our characters here. Aki, crouch medium kick. So crouch medium kick is 5 frames advantage, which is great. Like it actually even combos in the crouch light punch, which is fantastic, right? But say we're looking for the combo with something just a little bit heavier, like say stand medium punch instead, right? So what we're going to do to make this hit on the later active frames now is we're going to use our critical forward heavy punch knockdown, and we're going to use what we call a frame kill. We're going to auto time this. So if we do this, and with 2 light kicks, we're at 8 frames of advantage. And once again here, this guy here, 7 frames, so it's going to it has to hit on the later active frames. It literally cannot hit on the first active frame. So instead of +5, it's now +7, right? It's the same move, nothing changed. Once again here, +5, because in this setup, it has to hit later in the move. And because it hits later in the move, we gain more frame advantage. That's what's called a meaty. And now, 7 frames, well, now we can go into that stand medium punch. See, now it's an actual combo, right? And the move normally is +1 on block. It's an actual really good move for Aki. It's a really good move. So it's +1 on block. And now, because it's hitting later, it's +3 on block. So this can be done with anything in the game. Like I've just given you 2 examples, but it can be done with anything in the game. So that's why the meaty is so important, right? This is basically the building blocks of a setup. So we do whatever it is, we get our move, we hit it later in the active frames, it hits later than it normally would. And because of that, we have better block pressure, we got better stuff on hit, we got potentially combo routes that only exist thanks to these setups. It's overall a pretty big deal and very, very strong. So there's a whole bunch of them out there for the whole cast. Play around with it. Once again, that frame reader, it'll give you all the answers. Like it's just a simple matter of doing math. You look at the move, how much is red, or if it's a special move, you know, for like say Dalsum here, how much might be orange, depending on like character to character, right? But yeah, it's simple math. Just look at the bars and you knock someone down or do something, some kind of setup, just see how much plus or negative or whatever it is. And you do simple math from there and you can create your own setup. Now let's talk about tricking inputs. Let's talk about you tricking Street Fighter itself. So the input is everything, right? Especially if you're playing on classic controls versus modern. And the game allows for a lot of questionable readings of the inputs. Let's put it that way. So let's look at our classical uppercut style move, right? So forward, down, down, forward, punch, whatever it may be for the character, right? So now look at this. I'm gonna hold down, and at no point am I gonna hit forward. And what's going on there? Well, it turns out the game accepts that as a valid input. So down, down, forward, down, down, forward, we got her, right? As long as it's within a reasonable speed of each other. As long as you got like enough of the inputs in the given window, even if you don't have all of them, the game will be like, close enough, right? So say you're on like a whatever controller, leverless pad, arcade stick, whatever, you can kind of just, when you're down, kind of slop a bunch of inputs and just rock back and forth, and it'll eventually just give you a DP, right? So you can just rest assured, like just hold down, hit down, forward, while returning back to regular down, like it'll work. Now, much the same here. That's like a trick to do an easier Dragon Punch. How about tricking the game for things you don't want to happen? So like, hey, I'm playing like Akuma. I'm playing a good fireball character, right? And I want to toss them fireballs, and I walk forward, and I want to do a fireball, and what happens? Whoops. I did a random Shoryuken, now I'm gonna die. Why? Because I was hitting forward, then did the fireball motion, and the game reads that as, whoops, I guess you wanted a Shoryuken, because that's forward, down, down, forward, and yeah, you had the extra forward in there for the fireball, sure, but the game's like, well, close enough, you definitely wanted the Shoryuken, when you definitely did not, and it probably cost you the game. How do we stop that from happening? So that, we gotta do a little bit of input magic, right? But it will work. So what we got to do here is rewrite the buffer. So we're going to hold forward, like we're walking back forth, and we're going to toss a fireball. We're now going to do half circle forward and fireball. And because we're hitting a back input, there is no possible way the game will be like, well, if there's a back input, he wants a Shoryuken, right? So now the game will be like, okay, the back writes out the Shoryuken motion, and now I'll give you my fireball, right? So it's not an exact science, it's a little sloppy, but you got to be able to throw a fireball at any given notice. And this is the safest way to do it. Now keep in mind that buffer is an ornery beast. You gotta do that full quarter circle forward motion because it'll let you slop it. If you do forward, walk forward, back, and then go for it. And if somehow you wind up on down forward for the fireball, it'll still give you the uppercut. So you have to do the full quarter circle forward motion ending in forward if you're gonna do it that way to trick it. If you accidentally slop it and wind up with down forward, then hit punch, you're gonna get an uppercut anyways. But yeah, so walking forward and then half circle forward, you're hitting back to rewrite the buffer. That's how you can walk forward, do a fireball without accidentally doing an uppercut. And there's more tricks as well, right? Because once again, the game's very sloppy on how to read stuff. So this is specifically if you have a leverless controller or if you're playing on keyboard. So if you hold forward then hold down, it'll give you down forward. And then if you hit up, it'll go back to forward. Because the way the game works, you can't hold down and up at the same time. If you hold down and up at the same time, it'll just count as no input, right? So forward, hold down, hold up, becomes forward, down, forward. And then, if you were to hit punch, up comes uppercut. And specifically on leverless and keyboard, this is the fastest possible input for an uppercut. That's not just modern controls easy special. So if you're looking for the fastest possible reaction time, if you're playing on classic controls, you can do it, although it's locked specifically to leverless and keyboard. You cannot do this trick on controller or on arcade stick, unfortunately. And real quick, while we're talking about tricking the game inputs, when it comes to the Meaty 360, the game doesn't actually want a 360. It just wants a forward, a down, a back, and an up, and it actually doesn't care what order it comes in. So you can do something like this, you'll get the pile driver, but I could go down, forward, back, up, and I'll still get it. Like, I'll still get it. It doesn't matter which order it is. So if you're playing on leverless keyboard, that can actually help you out if like your fingers have a certain disposition for certain presses. Like if you're on pad or if you're on arcade stick, just do the 360, it'll work. But it doesn't actually want a true 360. It just wants those 4 directions. That's it. And also for a 720, it's not even a 720. It just wants the forward, down, back, up, and then another forward, down, back. And those can be in any direction. So just to give you an idea. So there we go. So I had forward, down, back, up, forward, down, back. I didn't even do the second up. The game doesn't actually need the second up. So it's not a true 720 either. So that's just some hints and some tips on how to abuse the game's buffering system. Now, just some notes on drive gauge management. So obviously through the course of any given match, you're going to do a lot of your cooler moves, drive rush, all that. You're going to spend a lot of that gauge. And it will naturally replenish over time, as you can see. There's some things you can do that help that along though. So for one, literally just the simple act of moving forward makes you build bar faster than standing still or moving backwards. That don't help as much, but moving forward, being aggressive refills it quite a lot faster. And actually, as of season 3, just a little bit faster yet as well. And should go without saying, but being aggressive, hitting the enemy, any hit has an associated drive gauge build up to it. It could be a regular hit, it could be a special move, whatever it is. But the more you make contact with the enemy, the more it goes up. So the more aggressive you are, the faster it goes. But it also has some interesting regeneration notes, not just on that basic level, but also in combo ability. So obviously when it comes to combos, like drive rush is a huge part of combo structure, right? And that's going to be the case for basically everyone. That's never not going to be the case. However, enhanced moves, EX moves, have a very distinct advantage over just drive rushes and combos, because they let you regenerate meter where the drive rush will not. So if I do a move and then drive rush, I spend 3 bars, right? And if I do this specific combo route, notice after the drive rush, I hit him multiple times, the meter's not going up. However though, say I do an enhanced move. Notice even after I hit him, I'm gaining meter for hitting the enemy like I would normally, right? So enhanced moves, unlike drive rushes and combos, there's no penalty for gaining drive meter on hit. So if I'm in the combo and I use a drive rush cancel, no matter how many hits I do for the duration of the combo, I'm not gaining any more meter. But if I were to use an enhanced move instead, those follow-up hits will not suffer any penalty and I will gain meter. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but for some characters, their combo routing, like say DJ, Mai, and Bison, Akuma to a degree as well. Some characters, they're better doing their combo routing with EX moves instead of just do whatever, hit in the drive rush, keep going. Because, well, one, an EX is less meter naturally, right? 2 bars instead of 3. But the fact that you get to keep building meter during the combo versus once you do a singular drive rush, there's no more meter gain until the combo's over. That's a big deal. So little things like that matter, and just keep that in mind when you're planning out combo structure. Now, sort of a follow-up just to meter management from the last section, but remember your level 1 supers because they're very invaluable to saving your meter. Yes, many characters are blessed with some sort of invincible reversal, takes 2 bars, and it'll plow through anything and everything, and that's great. Fantastic even, right? but not everyone gets that too, but it uses up that drive gauge. And oh, say I'm in this situation, I'm pressured, I go for it, whoops, I'm burned out. Burned out's not a situation you want to be in. And say I'm in that situation, my back's literally to the wall, and I had that meter and I burned it, and now I'm burned out, and I might lose the game because I'm in burnout now, right? You know what I could have done instead? I could have done the level 1 super. For most of the cast, the level 1 super is strike and throw invulnerable. So just like that invincible uppercut, it'll get you out of a jam. And yes, I know it takes super meter, but what it doesn't take is your drive gauge. And sometimes if you have, say, 3 or less bars, that invincible reversal might get you killed. It's not only are you burning those 2 bars on block, I'm going to get the punish counter, and boom, that punish counter will take drive gauge away from you as well, and now you're in burnout. So say in that same scenario, you woke up with level 1 super, you might be eating the punish combo anyways, but at least you're not risking burnout. When you're low to the ground on meter, keep in mind, level 1 super is just as invincible, well, except for against projectiles, but that's only going to matter like versus Akuma or maybe Dalsum, but it's just as invincible otherwise as your uppercut, and it doesn't take that drive gauge. The closest you'll usually get to losing any given round is when you're in burnout, and that EX uppercut is a very fine thing indeed, but if it puts you in burnout or risks you putting in burnout, keep in mind, you got that level 1 to get you out of jail. Yes, that means maybe you won't be able to do your sick level 2 or level 3 combo or whatever, at least immediately thereafter, but it's sometimes better to make sure you're managing your risk instead, right? You want to put yourself at least at risk as possible, and level 1 supers are a great way to do that. So now let's go back to another input trick, and let's talk about the infamous cross-cut technique. So this is for characters that have like a traditional style uppercut move, and we can abuse the game's inputs to help you on defense a lot. Take something like a cross-up. People will jump over you and try to hit you on the other way. It's a basic part of the game, right? And sometimes, well, I'm going to go for my big Shoryuken, whoops, and you go flying the other way. And if you're lucky, you might not get punished, right? But a lot of characters are going to fly right up, they're going to fly right down, and they're going to get their head kicked in. That's no good. So if you use the traditional inputs, that's not going to save you. And if you wait long enough for them to cross over the other side, it just might not register in time. But with the cross cut, what is basically doing just a half circle. So when you do this, do a half circle from forward to back while they cross over your head. It'll mirror your inputs on the other side because you just switched over. And the game will basically say, you know what, close enough. This is basically a little fun interaction of how the game reads inputs. So if you start from forward going to down to back, by the time they have crossed over your head, it'll reflip your original inputs over to be like Dragon Punch inputs, and it'll actually count a half circle back as an uppercut. It's a little weird. It's a classical piece of Street Fighter tech. So you take what you can get, right? So if you're in a situation where you know the opponent's going to jump over your head, just kind of do a half circle back and hit a button. Of course, if you're playing on modern controls, you don't need that stuff anyways. But for people playing on classic, it's a, well, classic technique. It's quick, it's simple. For characters that have the basic level uppercut style move, it's a godsend, and it'll stop people from just jumping over you left, right, front, and center. So keep it in mind. Next up, let's talk about the DI Checkmate, the Drive Impact Checkmate. So Drive Impact, important part of the game. It's very usable and abusable, especially at lower levels. Because one of the terrifying things about it is if it hits you, even if you block near the corner, you're still taking a combo, right? So the one thing that stops people from going absolutely berserk on it is it's a bit slower, right? And if you see it coming, you can kind of just react and do your own, and it'll cause a little bit of a time slow effect. And you smack the enemy back, then all of a sudden their potential combo just became your combo. So it's very, very powerful that way. The thing about that is, though, you can use your opponent's reactions against them. So say they are a legitimate monster. They react every single time without fail. Like, you will never, ever get them in a million years with it. But, okay, dummy. Dummy's coming at me, right? Dummy's gonna Drive Impact. They don't know I'm top 1 reaction in the world. So just try it. Ha, gotcha. Wait, what? What? So that's the thing. Even though you armor through the move, you know, you still take some damage, just recoverable damage. But if your health happens to be lower, like you can see in my health set right now, right? If your health happens to be lower, you still take the damage. If it kills, it kills. End of story. So if someone is lower health, then they have to keep in mind that low health means they cannot drive impact you back. They're trained, if you put any times in Street Fighter 6, your trained reaction is you see drive impact, you drive impact back. The game teaches you to do that. But in a low health situation, that actually will get you killed. Straight up. So here's the thing. If you're on the ball, you're really on the ball and you realize the situation you're in, you can still block. You can still parry if you're on the ball, right? Like those options are available to you. But once again, your just basic motor skills are going to take over. You see the flash, you do the thing, right? And you'll get a lot of people to make them basically kill themselves in the middle of the match. They'll slap their heads, moan that they were dummies, or maybe they don't even understand. But the DI checkmate's a very specific thing. Once they're very low in health, there's no recourse out of the drive impact in the usual way. They got a perfect parry if they want to turn the table on you. Anything short of that, they got to play purely defensively. And that makes it very, very powerful. So next up, we're going to talk about a rarer state that most people aren't going to teach you about. You just kind of got to suss it out. That's called forced down. So say, you know, the opponent jumps at me. A lot of people have like, you know, anti-air move of choice, but like you do the anti-air and that's kind of it, right? So if I do this and go into like JP's special move, it's not going to connect. And like it would never connect. So why then does it connect here? What happened? What's the difference? Like Akuma's in the air, like it shouldn't be that different. Well, that's forced knockdown right there. So when people are in the air, but not through a regular jump, that's when forced knockdown can be a thing. So specifically, Akuma is doing the demon flip. So this is a jump move, but it's a special move. It's not a regular jump. And if you hit somebody out of a move that puts them in the air, that's not a jump, and you hit them out of it, then that becomes the forced knockdown state. And from there, you can juggle the enemy. So once again here, Akuma doing a basic jump, no possible follow-up. It's just a regular jump, they flip out. I catch him in forced knockdown, that creates a juggle okay state. As you can see here, my options just got a lot better, right? I can take him to the cleaners. So here's the thing, this is definitely a matchup slash character specific thing. Some characters like Akuma with the demon flip, that's something you gotta watch out for. Like Dalsim's another character, his float leaves him airborne. And from the float, he has some very annoying options. However, if you can knock him out of the float some way, somehow, that will cause the forced knockdown state. Much the same, say, Ken. He's barely airborne, but that annoying Dragon Lash move, right? The one that leaves him advantage on block. So if you can smack him out of the air while he's doing it because he counts as being airborne during a special move, that will also be a forced knockdown state, and thus you can get juggles after the fact. Anyone that has a special move that puts them in the air that's not jump, basically, if you can hit him out of the air, that'll cause the force knockdown state, and you can get juggles after the fact and get a much bigger reward than the basic anti-air. It's a pretty big part of the game depending on the matchup, so please keep it in mind. Now, next up, we're going to talk buffering tricks. So we've already mentioned a few buffer things, but some specific tips that are mostly applicable for most of the cast. Stuff like buffering in a whiffed drive rush. So take whatever character, like we'll use JP because he's got a really good crouch medium punch, right? Character that has a special countable like move, that's a good poke, that can go into a drive rush. And what we're doing here is we're just doing the move, and then we're buffering drive rush behind it. And when it doesn't connect, nothing happens. So we're just doing this trying to catch something. We're literally fishing, right? We're just fishing. And sometimes when you fish, you catch something, right? So that's basically the idea of empty buffering, is do the move, do whatever you're gonna do afterwards. We're using a drive rush as our example here. Just enter it and try not to hit the enemy. It'll only connect if they do something that comes within your range, and then it'll automatically go into a drive rush. So it could be anything really. It could be a special move as well. So I could go like down, medium punch, and then buffer my pillar into my medium punch. And if it works, it will come out, right? So it can be a special move, it can be a drive rush, whatever. That's an example. It's an important part of neutral in Street Fighter 6. Now let's go to the corner. I know for some people, they don't get the fastest hands, especially playing on classic controls, right? So if they want to do something like a special move into a level 3 super, so that's Dragon Punch motion, then I gotta do double quarter circle forward, then hit the button. You don't actually have to do that. We've mentioned several times the inputs are very loose in Street Fighter 6. So you don't need 3 motions. You don't need Dragon Punch and a quarter circle forward, then another quarter circle forward and kick for level 3. You actually only need 2 motions. Because Dragon Punch, you do need that. So, forward, down, down, forward. And then if you do a quarter circle forward afterwards and hit kick right away, because the game will interpret some sloppy inputs, it'll take the first Dragon Punch as a quarter circle forward. So you can literally just do this, slop it out together, and you don't have to go crazy hitting more motions than you have to. A lot of times when you're doing any given special into a super move, it'll read that special as basically part of the buffer into the next move. Now it's only applicable when they share the same direction. So like EX Fireball, and then I do another Fireball motion kick, it'll go in level 3. But say like the level 2 super, well that's quarter circle backs, right? So I would still have to be very fast into doing that. However, I could do like EX Hashogeki, quarter circle back, another quarter circle back hit punch, that would combo, right? So basically make the inputs work for you. A lot of times when you do a special into a super, it will treat your first special as part of the first motion of your move, and then just kind of go from there. Now, next up, we're going to talk about throw loops and escaping throw loops. You probably heard that throw loops are awful nasty in Street Fighter 6, and no, at this point, they're not getting rid of them. So you got to kind of learn how to live with them, right? And now, one thing, thankfully, in this newest season of Street Fighter 6, they buffed it so if you tech a throw, you actually get a lot more reward. You get a good chunk of super meter, you get a full drive gauge bar. So teching, which is generally the scariest option in a throw loop, is actually more viable now. So if you do it and it successfully works, the reward is more substantial. That's nice. But there is a privileged class of characters in this game where if they're getting throw looped, they can get out a lot better than everyone else. And in fact, kind of easily turn the tables on the enemy at that. These are characters that can quickly do things out of jumps. So we'll have Chun-Li, I'll give you a few other examples, but basically anyone who can quickly do things out of a jump. So when you're in that throw loop situation, like naturally, jumping out of the corner is a very viable, like a way to escape out of it, right? Lots of characters have plans and contingencies against that, but still, jumping out is a way. But what if you don't want to just jump out? You want to like make this your turn now, right? And here we are. I'm going to jump up and do legs. And look at that. So obviously I avoided the throw because I was in the air. And I was in the air and did light legs, which goes to the ground. It puts me in the ground very quick. And not only all that, I caught them as a punish counter because they're whiffing the throw naturally. And now all these things combined, like normally, instant air legs for Chun is 0. It's literally neutral on hit. But if I get them in the punish counter, and there we go. I just turned that into a whole combo, right? So, like, that's really, really good. Now, you might ask, well, why not just do the reversal thing, right? And that's very valid, too, if the throw comes your way. And it will beat the throw, although it won't do as much damage. It'll cost you 2 drive gauge bars. And God forbid they block, because you're gonna die, right? That's not gonna help you. Versus this move is safe on block. So in that scenario, reversal will beat throw. And if they try to hit you meaty with an attack, it'll also beat that. The instant air special move scenario will beat throw. It'll lose the strike, admittedly, because you're holding up, you're not blocking. It'll lose the strike. And if they're walking back to try to shimmy you, it'll also beat that. So this is a character privilege check. Basically, not everyone can do something like this. But in a throw loop situation, it's a big blessing. Another character who can do something similar is Dalsum. So he can like instant air yoga dive kick, right? Or conversely, he can instant air float as well and just land on the enemy's head. The float stuff won't necessarily always lead to combos depending on the timing of the throw loop, but it'll always at least turn the tables on them. And especially if they're shimmying, landing on them with like some sort of float fierce will definitely put the ball in your court. So for a character with god-awful defense, this is a big boon. Cammy's similar, and she catches the punish counter. She'll get a small combo as well. Although you'll want to use the EX version to keep it safe, because the regular dive kicks are not safe on block. So this is the only way you can kind of scam it and still get away with it if it's blocked. Because that's sort of the thing, right? Like, you can jump up and do something, but if they block and your move is not safe on block, then it doesn't really matter that you did it, right? So you're trying to give, just like a throw loop has so many layers of offense, these defensive techniques of instant air special moves or techniques also have many layers to them, but one of them is being safe on block. So that's why characters like Cammy, Dalsum, Chun-Li, they have these things. So look at your character, see what they can do from a jump immediately. And some characters are more privileged than others, like E Honda doesn't exactly got the tech here, right? But yeah, so that's one way to get out of throw loops that certain characters can abuse. So here's one, you probably heard this term in other fighting games, the safe jump. And what's the safe jump? Well, it's the ability for me to jump and attack you, and you to not really be able to do anything about it. So say I knock you down and I go for a big old jump afterwards. Whoops, you blew me up. Why? Well, because I did a big old telegraph jump. And most characters with an invulnerable reversal, like, you know, uppercut style move, that's the easiest thing in the world to blow that up. But a safe jump removes the nuance. The safe jump is a magic of the frame data, where it gives me just enough time to hit you, but it doesn't give you enough time to hit me. So have a gander this setup. So we already saw it here. Okay, I knock him down, I get blown up for trying to jump at him, right? So why is it going to be different this time around? How come I got the block that time? Well, did I not just hit him? It's just specifically if they go for the reversal, they can't hit me. And just so you know, this move right here, this is Ken's 6-frame reversal. Even if we did the light one, that's his 5-framer, right? Doesn't matter. And I'm still going to block it. There's only one character in the game, the setup I'm about to show you can beat. Lily with her buff up like Tomahawk Buster. It's a very edge case scenario. Other than that, it's about time for you to learn the magic number. And what is the magic number? Well, the magic number is 42. So any move that knocks you down, it can be as long, a short combo, it doesn't matter. Anything that knocks you down and you're at 42 frames of advantage. Specifically, I'm using DJ just because his heavy up kicks gives exactly 42. So it's an excellent example for this, right? If it has 42 frames of advantage, even the fast Shoryukens, like Ken's light Shoryuken, it doesn't matter. If you jump and attack, you'll always be able to block in time. So now I'm reversing the role. So DJ's hitting me, and I want you to notice the dummy here. If it connects, that's a true combo, right? But he's still gonna have time to block even this scenario. So I'm gonna do wake up Shoryuken. See, he blocked. He blocked just fine. If I do nothing, or if I just block, he'll still be able to combo me. He'll still be able to put me into a block stun. He'll still be able to do whatever he wants, right? But if if I wake up with stuff, he still gets to defend himself in time. That's the power of a safe jump. It basically removes just about all the options from the defender and places the entire bag in the offensive player's court. So it's really, really strong. So once again, look for a knockdown, a combo, or whatever. As long as it leaves you at that magic number of 42 frames, then you can create safe jump setups. You can just, once you get plus 42, you hold up. There's no time you need it. You just hold up and attack them on the way down, and you'll hit them right as they wake up, but still land in time to block any reversal they're going to do. It's a huge part of, like, not even just Street Fighter, huge part of fighting games in general. Very powerful technique, and it's a good one to know. Next up is another important concept in Street Fighter and also a lot of other fighting games called trip guard. So trip guard is basically this. Notice here, when Terry's landing, he can block like the frame he lands. No bigs. Like, it's about what you would expect, right? Like, why wouldn't he be able to? But now let me give you this scenario. So everything's the same except he does a kick first. So he kicks, then he just lands and crouches and blocks, right? So here's the big problem with that is you do not get the block right away. You'll have a few frames if you take an air action other than just jumping itself. A few frames when you land that you are not allowed to block. If you just jump and do nothing, you can block immediately. So you're good to go on that front. Like you see here, the same scenario here. Like, I cannot get him. But as soon as he does any air action, he no longer has trip guard, or you could even say trip guard is activated then, right? and he cannot defend himself immediately upon landing. Like, don't get it wrong. It's not a huge window. Like, if you wait, you can still block, right? But it's a few frames, and that few frames could be the difference between life or death. So sometimes if you're jumping, but you don't think you're going to hit the enemy, don't just hit a button for the sake of hitting a button, because you're removing your ability to block as soon as you land. And it is much safer to jump and do nothing than block, than jump, hit a button, get nothing, and then remove your ability to block upon landing. So it's a simple concept, but it's never one that's explained in words and games so much. So if you didn't know, now you know. Now let's talk option selects. Option selects are a very powerful technique where you can do basically one set of things and multiple things will happen or not happen. And some of these we sort of talked about, like when we mentioned whiff buffering earlier. Like, I can do this in the fireball and nothing comes out unless I actually connect, right? That's technically an option select, although we call it whiff buffering. But regardless, let me give you just a couple layers of examples of option selects from easier to more advanced. Like, say we're in that throw loop situation, right? So an easy option select is the delay throw tech. So I'm just going to hold down back and block. And then, as they're coming at me, I'm just going to wait a split second, then I'll hit throw. So in this scenario, if they do the throw loop on me, I will tech the throw. And because I'm delaying my throw tech, if they attack me, I block. So I cover both options. I cover both blocking and the throw. Of course, what makes throw loop so strong is they don't have to do anything and they can back off. So now if I do my delay throw tech, and see here, whoops, I just got beat up, right? So there's counterplay to it, but that's the example of an option select. That I just block, lay my throw tech, and I cover both strike and throw, but not walking backwards to bait my option select. A medium level option select would be something like against fireballs. So we talked about earlier in the video, you always want to make parry against fireballs, right? Because it's generally the more sensible thing. And if you can perfect parry, you recover a bit quicker. But that works on multiple levels. Like, you can walk around, hit buttons a bit quicker. But say you perfect parry a fireball from, say, this distance, roughly. Like, you hitting a button, even if you recover quicker, you're not anywhere in range. But if you perfect parry, and then hit forward to cancel it into a drive rush, now normally with the regular parry, nothing will come out. Because you're still in that initial hit stun / block stun of the parry. So you cannot cancel into the drive rush. But if you have perfect parry timing, because you recover quicker while you're holding the button, now you can cancel immediately into a drive rush and help gain space. And now you can use that option select. Once again, if you don't get perfect parry, nothing comes out. If you do get perfect parry, you drive rush forward. You can sort of turn the tables on the enemy. You won't always necessarily, depending on the character, depending on the distance, get a punish. But at the very least, even if it's not a punish, you'll force them to block a drive rush normal. And then you have advantage frames and you've totally flipped the script from there, right? And once again, that only comes out on a perfect parry. Because on a regular parry, you don't recover fast enough to begin the drive rush to begin with, right? So it's one of those things where you see those fireballs coming, just give it a shot. Because you never know, and you just might actually get it, right? So that's pretty powerful mid-level option select. Now let's do a very advanced one. So here's a classic for jury. It will work for other characters, but we use the jury example. Some characters, they don't got much option on wake up other than the universal drive reversal mechanic, right? And the thing about drive reversal is it's slower, right? It is not as fast as like a wake up Shoryuken. And unfortunately, that's very abusable. So say, I'm just jury, I'm going to throw him into the corner. And then I'm going to dash forward. And that's like kind of the basis of her throw loop pressure and just wake up pressure, right? So what's going to happen here? Whoa, what was that? I just did my level 1 invincible super. Am I just that sick? Are my reactions that good? No, trust me. I'm 40. They are not. But. So enemy set the block right now. And it kind of just looks like what it looked like before. No big deal, right? But. So now, they aren't going to block, right? But they're going to wake up drive reversal. And what happened? So, this is the option select. I will get the best option basically every single time. What I'm doing is I'm taking a chain cancelable move, and this is going to be multiple layers, so open your ears. There's going to be multiple layers. So one, this is a chain cancelable move. So this is crouch, light kick into stand light punch. So this comes out even if I whiff, right? So I'm doing that, right? But I'm doing the crouch light kick, cortical forward, and then I'm hitting throw. So cortical forward, and kick is that super you saw, right? And specifically because I need that light punch to do the chain combo, when I do throw, if I do cortical forward, double, and throw, it'll just give me the kick super regardless. So I'm getting the best of both worlds there. If I do this and the crouch light kick connects, all that will happen is the chain combo, because the crouch light kick is not cancelable into the super move. Like, I can mash it all I want. It will only come out once it's actually over. So therefore, its only option is to go into the light punch. But if nothing's there, then the light punch, the input, will get overwritten by the super, and then it'll look something like that. The punch won't come out, right? So this is many layers of info, but the idea is here basically we're just abusing the inputs to their maximum. So in the rare situation that, say, a Dalsum is doing a drive reversal instead of whatever, you know, then I can blow it up. Another really good example of a character to bully is Ed. Ed has an invincible reversal, but his is slower than other characters. And there you go, right? So it only is abusable against certain characters, slower moves, but it's there. And yes, I know that's a lot of jargon I threw at you, but this is the advanced section now, right? Other characters can do this kind of stuff. Like mine's a good example, right? So once again here, the important thing is you have a chain cancelable normal, and she has a punch super, right? And so you don't need to do that throw chick like we did with Jury. You can just hit punch. So you can go down, kick, cortical forward, punch, and on hit, it'll look like that. You'll just get the chain combo. On block, it'll look like that. But if for some reason, drive reversal or slow reversal in general, they're not there, and it'll look just like that, right? So certain characters can make use of it. Just once again, remember the building blocks. Chain cancelable normal, that'll come out on whiff, and some kind of invincible level 1 super, and some sort of good knockdown that can bait out the slower reversals or the drive reversal. So put it all together, and then you got some magic. Once again, apologies, this is more jargony, but this is the high level. This is near the end of the video. You're getting the high level stuff. And for the final tip, the biggest thing to note is sometimes the rules just don't make sense. There's always exceptions to exceptions. Like, say, a fireball. If you're doing a perfect parry, you cannot get the perfect parry with time stop against a fireball. Unless it's against Ed's fireball. That's the new changes of this season. So it's the only projectile-based move that you can perfect parry with time stop, and you can definitely punish him after the fact. So there's that. Like earlier, we talked about safe jump setups, right? And how strong they are. And that's the thing is, they are strong, but there's always weird exceptions to the rules, like versus Honda. Because Honda's move is not invincible, it's armored. And because it's armored, when you jump with your safe jump, you land on the armored frame, which causes a little bit of time stop for you, so you don't keep falling through the ground. If it was invincible, like say his level 1 super, that's invincible, so you'll land and go through it in time. But because the armor move holds you in place for a split second, you will not land in time, and thus the safe jump doesn't work the same way, right? So just weird little bits of character knowledge that the traditional safe jump setup doesn't work on Honda. It will, though, if you do a jump jab, because that, like, the whole animation plays out quicker than the usual jump heavy, so you can block a time. So once again, weird rules, counter rules to the counter rules. You gotta be prepared. Or even smaller things like the old classical fireball war. Whoops, what? So Mai's fireball, the base fireball, doesn't clash with other fireballs like you think it should. That's basic fighting game 101, but not here. You have to do the charged fireball that have it work like a basic projectile. Otherwise, people can just bop it. Like very literally even. They can punch it out of the air, right? So there's always going to be weird rules and exceptions across the board. So don't take anything as set in stone because everyone will have their own little particulars. But basically always keep your eyes open. And that is 20 essential tips So hopefully whatever your skill level of play, you've learned something in the video. Like the video, it certainly helps. Share it with a friend if they want to learn a thing or two about Street Fighter 6. The game's always evolving, it's always moving forward. If you want more traditional beginner guides, I'll link you a playlist at the end of this video, or linked in the video description as well. Because a lot of the core basics haven't changed over the years, but enough stuff has. And there's enough new players or people that just played for whatever long ago are coming back now. I feel this video is appropriate. So, but that all said, my friends, that is the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.